Welcome back to Demigod Debut. I'm Mal, frequenter of the Central Park Reservoir and longtime Percy Jackson fan.
And I'm Julie, Percy Jackson newbie, and I'm gonna say this wrong, but Clazmonian Sow fan?
Okay, great, I love it.
I love her.
That's the pronunciation I was going with, so it's fine.
Yeah, okay, we're good. Very glamorous. Loved her.
Yeah, pink flamingo wings, hello. And this is a podcast about Julie reading The Last Olympian for the first time. It is just the two of us this week, returning to our roots. And speaking of returning to our roots, it is the day that the new Hunger Games book is released, and so I've been doing that for the last, hour, and for once in my life, I'm having to, shift my focus away from something else to Percy Jackson, so this is new and different for me. Did you ever read The Hunger Games? Have we talked about this? I can't remember.
I read the first one. I don't think I read any of them after that. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Hunger Games podcast? When we're done with Percy Jackson?
There we go. Yeah, we could do that.
Oh, so good. My first foray into kind of internet, not fandom, but trying to create things for a fandom was The Hunger Games. I had a Hunger Games Facebook fan page. Fun fact.
Love.
Still exists. Still out there. We have not posted in 10 years. So there's that.
Amazing.
Anyway, what were you really into 10 years ago?
Oh, 10 years ago. What is that? 2015?
2015.
One Direction still, probably.
That makes sense.
I was like, God. I was asked in my interview, when I volunteered, I was talking about something I did in high school, and I was like, oh my God, what year did I graduate high school? That was almost 10 years ago.
9 years ago, we graduated high school.
Isn't that disgusting?
That's horrifying.
I don't like it.
Anyway, we've talked none about the book. So, chapter 13 is A Titan Brings Me a Present. Great. Good chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So, our last couple chapters were kind of crazy. Just to recap, Annabeth was stabbed. Nico found out Zeus straight up murdered his mom, and his dad cursed the Oracle for it. Also, Rachel agreed to go to fancy finishing school in exchange for coming back to New York and delivering a message to Percy. Woo! So now Percy has to meet with a Titan to get a message from Kronos. And said Titan is joined by a Hyperborean giant, an Impausa, and a half-blood. He's also wearing a tuxedo, which Grover says reminds him of a magician, and that makes him nervous because magicians usually have rabbits, and he hates rabbits because they're bullies. What a random detail to drop on us in book 5 of Knowing Grover.
I know. Bunnies are so cute, though. I love when they throw little tantrums and they stomp their feet.
Yes!
It's just so cute.
But also, it does check out that Grover would just be scared. He's kind of a coward.
He kind of is. He's a big baby.
So, it's funny, but it makes sense. Also, our half-blood that's with the Tuxedo Man turns out to be Ethan Nakamura, because we just can't get rid of this guy. And he's gotten a new helmet since Percy dented the old one. But does he still have a concussion? Probably.
Can we kill him already? He's pissing me off.
No, I know.
Grow up.
His nose at least does look like a squashed tomato, according to Percy, and Percy says that makes him feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
He's honestly handling this whole meeting with Ethan, better than I would have, because this man just stabbed Annabeth. I know it's flag of truce or whatever, but Percy, where's your rage?
Defend your woman, God.
Exactly. He does kind of go the bitchy route, though, which I guess, best he can do in the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But he does hey, Ethan, you're looking good, immediately after, telling us that Ethan does not look good because of, the nose being all busted.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We'll take it.
Love that. Tuxman introduces himself as Prometheus. Percy recognizes him as, quote, the fire stealer guy, the chain to the rock with the vultures guy.
I gotta do it. Obligatory Oppenheimer mention because they opened the movie with a quote about Prometheus. I was like, that's my boy. That's my boy.
And so how does this Prometheus as presented to us in this book, how does it compare to Oppenheimer?
Listen, I love Oppenheimer so much. Have we talked about that on this podcast yet? I feel like we must have at some point.
I feel like we must have.
But I don't remember.
Yes, I think at one point you mentioned how many times you saw it in theaters.
Yeah, it's that lovely quote in the beginning. And then, of course, it's based on the biography American Prometheus. Mm-hmm. And Chef's Kiss.
But I mean, I think it makes sense to compare Oppenheimer to Prometheus because, he's all about progress and kind of moving things.
Gave the world a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. But I'm like, okay, this Prometheus is working with Kronos and wants to kind of create this new golden age through kind of any means necessary. So like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, tracks.
Kind of a making progress for better or for worse sort of vibes.
For worse. That. I
Yeah.
mean, look at us now.
Mm, for worse.
For worse.
We should have said no thank you when he tried to give us the fire.
Exactly. You know, we're
Yeah.
good.
We're fine, actually.
Actually.
Yeah, so, as much as Zeus is always kind of doing the most, perhaps chaining him to the rock for all eternity to be pecked at by vultures was the right call.
Sometimes Zeus gets it right. Not often, but sometimes.
And Prometheus was, in fact, freed by Hercules because that guy did everything. So Prometheus says he's got a soft spot for heroes, and so that's why he's coming here to talk to Percy. They sit to talk, and Percy kind of watches the Hyperborean break the monkey bars and then break the water fountain. And every time he just goes, uh-oh, and he's got a bunch of stuffed animals, like,
That's so funny.
on his belt. And Percy says it reminds him of Tyson, and he doesn't like the idea of having to fight this guy, which Percy's got to stop empathizing with the enemy. We gotta focus.
We gotta work on that.
Prometheus also tells Percy he's the Titan of forethought, meaning he knows what's going to happen, and he says that they can't stop another assault. Grover points out he's also known for being crafty, so can we really trust what he's saying? And Prometheus literally goes, yeah, fair enough. But also he says that he knows how to pick the winning side. This time he's picked the Titans. He explains how the demigods are outnumbered 20-1, which isn't even that hard because campers and hunters combined, there's probably no more than like 60 of them at this point.
Ugh.
Prometheus says they will eventually be forced to retreat to the Empire State Building and they'll be destroyed there. Woo! And this does, in fact, remind Percy of Rachel's painting that he saw in his dream, where there was an army in front of the Empire State Building. He also thinks of the other dream with the Oracle when she was alive, and how she said she foresees the future but cannot change it. He also notes that Prometheus speaks with such certainty that it's hard not to believe him. So, things are not looking good for us. And then to make matters worse, Prometheus starts comparing them to Troy. He's like, you guys are the ones defending, so you are Troy. And Percy, of course, goes straight for the, like, well, good luck trying to get a giant horse in the Empire State Building elevator.
He's such a smartass.
He is.
I love it.
I love that anytime he's kind of introduced, or not introduced, presented with, like, bad information from someone he doesn't like, he's gonna go straight to, like,
Snark.
well, you're stupid. And I appreciate that. And so then we get to the offer. And so the offer is if Percy surrenders and just lets Kronos take Olympus, then Kronos will spare New York and all of his friends, because Kronos will definitely keep his word. That seems like something he will do. And so his plan is kind of to take Olympus while the gods are distracted, because in 2 days, Typhon will make it to New York and things are going to get worse. Thalia then says she and the hunters are going to fight till their last breath. Prometheus says her courage does her credit, and then full names her. So for the first time, we get to find out her last name, and she is Thalia Grace.
Pretty. That's pretty.
It's a good name. But she does not like this. She says it's her mother's name, and she doesn't use it. And Percy says knowing her last name makes her seem less mysterious and powerful, almost normal. I can't believe that Prometheus would just nerf her like this, take away her mystery and intrigue.
My god, can a bitch be mysterious?
Right. The most fun a girl can have is, what is it? Like, lying and I don't know.
Oh wait, without taking her clothes off.
Oh yes! Lying is the most
Lying
fun.
is the most fun. Girl. Yeah. We got there.
Lying and keeping your last name secret. Because just Thalia is much more, it's snappier.
She's like Cher.
Yes. And like Thalia Grace is a good name. It's a great name. But just Thalia?
Yeah.
Mysterious. Prometheus then starts, laying it on real thick, talking about how he's been influencing mankind since the beginning, how Kronos is this opportunity to move forward and advance. And he brings up this idea of like a new golden age again. This is where he starts to be kind of like the Oppenheimer connection that we were talking about. He also brings up Calypso, saying that, all the Titans aren't bad. Some of them, just like her, were just exiled simply for being Titans. Yeah, so do you have any thoughts on Prometheus? The information he is presenting?
I don't trust him. I think he's too crafty, and I'm very suspicious. I'm like, what are you doing? What do you want?
Valid.
Well, I know what he wants, but
yeah. Then Percy kind of gets into it with Ethan. He looks at him and says, wow, you must hate this offer because if we surrender, you won't get to kill us all. And Ethan's like, all I want is respect instead of just getting shoved in the Hermes cabin like I'm not important, which is valid.
Wah, wah, wah.
And Percy says this reminds him of what Luke said to him, like, many years ago when he tried to kill him in the woods. So that's good. And Percy and Ethan go back and forth a bit about, like, his mom being the goddess of revenge and how she took his eye in exchange for him one day bringing the minor gods respect, which is kind of an insane thing for a mom to do. Like, hello, son, give me your eye in exchange for the ability to one day bring me respect. What does he get out of this?
Yeah, like all of the gods suck as parents. They're really bad.
Yeah, I'm confused as to how this, like, little transaction came about, why he had to give up the eye.
Yeah.
It just much to consider. And then Prometheus decides to give Percy another Luke vision. This time, they're in May Castellan's living room. She's bandaging Thalia's leg while baby Annabeth plays with a Medusa beanbag, and Luke talks with Hermes. Luke asks why show up now after he spent years praying that he'd show up. Hermes says his mom did her best, but that the gods can't interfere with their children's path. Luke says, what about when I was hiding in the closet so she wouldn't find me with those glowing eyes? Did you even care that I was scared? And Hermes says he cares very much, but ancient laws say that he can't interfere, especially when your destiny ... And Luke is real mad about someone else bringing up this so-called destiny and not telling him what it is. Also, Percy realizes that Hermes knew even back then that Luke was going to become Kronos. So that's good. Luke's like, fine, if you won't tell me, then you don't love me, and that's fine. I've got a new family. Come on, Thalia and Annabeth, we're leaving. And then he leaves.
So dramatic.
So dramatic. But it's very 14-year-old.
Oh, yes.
And then when they're gone, May collapses into Hermes' arms and her eyes glow again. She says the whole thing about, like, danger and a terrible fate. And Hermes is like, believe me, I know. And that's the vision. And then to really twist the knife, afterwards, Prometheus says, appalling, isn't it? The gods know what's to come, yet they do nothing. How long did it take for them to tell you your prophecy, Percy Jackson? Don't you think your father knows what will happen to you?
Oof.
It's good. It's real good. He knows what he's doing. Do you have any thoughts on this vision?
I definitely think Prometheus is manipulating it a bit, but I hate seeing I hate when we humanize Luke. I'm like, just let me hate him, please. Like, come on. I want a true villain that I can be mad at.
Zeus. Zeus is right there.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck Zeus.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to hate someone, hate the gods. Because everyone else is unfortunately a hurt child.
There's not a good one among the bunch, honestly.
No. There's some that are less terrible than others, but, like, none that I would consider good. Maybe Hestia's okay, but she's on thin ice.
Yeah, true. I did like her.
Because she also was withholding information from Percy, and that drives me nuts. I don't know. I just remember when I was reading this as a kid, I very much felt the same way that Percy and Luke do. That, like, Hermes is this terrible father for not sharing, like, what he knows with Luke. But as an adult, I'm a little more like, yeah, he could have handled this better. But also, sometimes as the adult, you, like, can't and shouldn't share everything with a child. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, how would hearing that, oh yeah, you're gonna turn evil, like, how would that benefit the child?
I don't know that even knowing that, he would have made different decisions.
Yeah. How much control does he really have in that situation?
I think, like, the only thing that could have changed things for Luke would be if his mom hadn't been what she is.
Right.
Or, like, if Hermes had been around more to help out, or, like, had taken Luke somewhere else to be raised by someone else, or something. But I also, like, I don't think he could do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, his hands really are tied.
Yeah. I hate to bail out the gods, but...
But also, screw the rules. You're a god.
Yeah.
I do appreciate, though, how Percy kind of thinks, well, I hated all of that, but I hate Kronos more. So here's my deal. Tell Kronos to leave Luke's body and return to Tartarus, and I won't have to destroy him. Love that confidence, Percy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets a gift. Prometheus gives him this Greek vase, and it turns out it is Pandora's box. Really, Pandora's Pythos, I think. You know, of the famous story in which she opened the jar and released a bunch of bad things like death and hunger upon the world. And Prometheus points out that this jar was a trap designed by Zeus to show humanity that they should not explore or be curious, or bad things will happen. Percy also thinks about how Zeus destroyed an entire hotel and killed Maria D'Angelo trying to get rid of 2 demigod kids because he was scared of a prophecy. And he thinks of Hades taking out his anger on the Oracle because he couldn't take revenge on Zeus, and then like Hermes not even warning Luke, trying to raise him to make better choices. And yeah, as you said, the gods, they suck.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the way that we get into that. And Percy is actually kind of considering the wrongdoings of the gods, but then also kind of the actions and the wrongdoings of Kronos as well. And he has to really like wrestle with what he's fighting for and what he's doing all this for. And so it's very good. Like, we don't have clear-cut good and bad guys really here, because even our so-called good guys, the gods, like, are doing terrible stuff all the time. And it's great. I love it. 10 out of 10. All right, so last little bit of this chapter. The last thing left in the jar is the spirit of hope, and it's Percy's responsibility now. So if he wants to surrender, he can just open the jar and give up hope. And Percy kind of looks at it and is like, oh, this is terrible because I cannot leave things alone. And he's real for that, because if someone gave me something and was like, don't open this, then I would do nothing but think about opening it for the next several days.
That's human nature, baby.
Yeah. And he worries that opening the jar or not might be his big, like, prophesized choice.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
It feels too, like, just thrown in there, you know? I feel like the choice has got to be something bigger. Although I do love Rick, like, banging us over the head with the giving up hope metaphor here.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we get it.
I do enjoy that.
Thank you.
We've got it.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you're 11, sometimes you have to be banged over the head to to really pick up on things.
You know, this is an example of a metaphor. Yeah, it'd be a great, like, teaching, like, to teach this book. Like, hey, there you go.
The English teacher in Rick really jumped out. All right, and that's pretty much it for this chapter, because after that, Prometheus and his crew leave, and Prometheus says that they'll see him soon, one way or another. And that's 13. You got anything else on 13?
That was pretty much it for this one. Chapter 14 I loved.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of good stuff in chapter 14.
Absolutely loved that chapter. It was so good.
Pigs Fly. Another chapter where the title is such a small part of the chapter.
Because I was looking back, like, when I was finishing up my notes to write the zinger, and I was like, wait, how do I spell this? And I was like, wait, it's literally, like, only in, like, the last couple pages where this happens. I'm like, oh, dang.
Yeah, okay. Yes, there's a lot in chapter 14. So, they get back to the Plaza Hotel. Thalia asks Percy what Prometheus showed him, and he tells her, and she says that was a bad night. Percy also asks if she knows what happened to May Castellan. And Thalia says that she never saw the whole, like, glowing eyes and saying weird things about Luke's fate situation, but that Luke made her promise not to tell anyone about it. And Percy says that something caused her to see bits of Luke's future, and that Hermes knew that he was going to become Kronos. You know, I was going to ask here if you had any thoughts about, like, oh, what happened to May Castellan? Because I was like, I think you might have the pieces at this point to put it together, but then I totally forgot that, like, later in this chapter, you find out what happens to her, so. Oh, well. That's the thing. It's like,
oops.
With these titles, it feels like this is the first, maybe not the first book, but, like, it happens the most often in this book where, like, the titles don't tell me exactly what happens in the chapter, because there's just, like, so many dreams that I can't remember what information we get when.
Right.
And so it's very, like, I can never remember what chapter things are coming in. So Thalia says that Prometheus was showing Percy that day from kind of the worst possible angle, and she could tell how much Hermes cared just from seeing his face. She also says that Percy can't start feeling sorry for Luke because essentially every demigod has daddy or mommy issues, and nobody forced Luke to make the decisions that he did. Which is true. And she also says that she's worried that Annabeth won't be able to face him in battle, since she always had a soft spot for him. And I find the difference between Annabeth and Thalia so fascinating, because where Annabeth still sees, like, good in him, Thalia has pretty much completely written him off as irredeemable.
Yeah.
And I think, like, the thing that she says next kind of says a lot about their differences. Like, she says, after the night with Hermes, Luke got reckless and he wanted to pick fights with every monster they came across. And Annabeth didn't see why this was a problem because Luke was her hero, and so she was, like, very defensive of him. And it also makes me wonder a bit if Thalia partially blames Luke for her death and subsequent treeification. And so if, like, that's a piece of her being willing to write Luke off,
Yeah.
or
That's interesting.
I don't know, I feel like Thalia was more at an age when they were on the run where she was seeing Luke as, like, an equal and as a partner,
Yeah.
and so she was able to kind of see and recognize his mistakes in, like, a way that Annabeth couldn't or wouldn't,
Right.
because she was, so little.
Yeah. She was a baby.
I know, she was 7. That's so small. I feel like you're a little more team Thalia here.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
That, like, you're kind of
Fuck Luke.
yeah. I appreciate the humanizing of Luke a little bit because, again, I think it's important to see how, like, someone can have, like, okay ideas and then go, like, completely to the extreme
Mm-hmm.
bad choices, because, you know, could happen to anyone. And, like, all of these demigods have
Right.
mommy and daddy issues, so, like, knowing who could be the next it's important. Yeah, so then Percy and Thalia go off to get some rest, but not before he asks her to lock up Pandora's jar in the hotel vault. This is also his second nap of the day today, because he had one right before they met with Prometheus, and now he's having one after, so...
I was wondering if you were going to write about this.
Yes. I'm very concerned about Percy getting enough sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, he's sleeping. Great. But 2 naps is not a substitute for, like, a good night of sleep. But also, if Kronos is attacking at night, you can't really get a good
Right.
night's sleep. So,
His circadian rhythm is messed up.
way off. So, during this nap, we have kind of a trifecta of dreams. Number 1, we see Tyson in the Cyclops Forges, where all of a sudden a Cyclops warrior, like, stumbles in and then dies. Tyson then picks up the dead warrior's club and takes charge. He calls out for Poseidon, but he's got a mouth full of peanut butter, and so it sounds really funky. And so the rest of the Cyclopses just call out, "Peanut butter!" and charge into battle. Incredible. No notes. Any thoughts from you on Tyson joining the battle?
Protect my baby. Also, thinking about wet peanut butter just makes me want to gag, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting.
Horrifying.
Texture hell.
Yeah. When Percy was like, I don't want to think about what peanut butter would taste like underwater. Yeah, me neither.
Like, why did you bring it up then, Percy? Now we all have to think about it.
Okay. Anyway, dream number 2. Kronos' forces have now set up camp at Medusa's old lair in New Jersey. They've also broken the statue of Grover's uncle, which is sad. Lou Kronos summons Ethan and asks how his diplomatic mission with Prometheus went. Ethan says he doesn't think Percy's ever going to surrender. And Lou Kronos then asks what happened on the bridge, because when he attacked Percy, Annabeth jumped in the way, despite him being invulnerable. Ethan says that, oh, maybe she forgot. But Lou Kronos doesn't believe that, and asks where Ethan was aiming. Ethan says it was all so fast, and he wasn't aiming at anything in particular. And then Lou Kronos kind of stumbles back for a moment, and his voice is only Luke's. And then Ethan asks if Luke is still fighting him, and Kronos says that's nonsense, and if Ethan says it again, he'll cut out his tongue. And then he asks if their surprise is ready to be unleashed, and tells Hyperion to move their main force south into Central Park. He tells Ethan to improve his memory, and that they'll talk again when they've taken Manhattan. So, do you think that Ethan's gonna figure it out?
No, I think he's too dumb. But I think Kronos is gonna figure it out.
Fair.
Without Ethan.
I mean, I think at the very least, they know his emotional Achilles heel. And that's
enough.
just as devastating, so.
Yeah.
And then, dream number 3. The big one, the big lore drop. We're at camp in the 90s. One of my favorite little details here is that Percy comments on the, like, 90s hairdos, and he's like, those would be really good at fending off monsters.
I don't even think, like, 90s hair is that bad. Like, early 2000s hair is worse. Like, frosted tips, really bad, like, bright highlights. What's 90s hair?
Yeah.
Like, 90s hair, I think of, like, Rachel from Friends, and I'm like, that's cute hair.
Yeah.
Or, like, 80s hair would be bad.
Yeah, 80s hair would be bad. The one I'm thinking of is, like, kind of the vibe with, like, all the clips where you have, like, little sprouts.
Okay.
You know? That's kind of the 90s thing that I'm thinking of. But also, I think that's kind of cute.
Yeah. I'm like, that's kind of cute. Like, with the little butterflies.
Yes. Butterfly clips. Oh my gosh. Idea for a demigod weapon. The little butterfly clips that then, like, turn into...
Oh, love.
like, knives or something.
Yes.
That would rock. Because, like, originally Riptide was, like, a hairpin. If you remember that from the 3rd book. You probably don't.
I do not.
Yeah.
Girl, do you know me?
Yes. Hi, we've met before. we're like 52 episodes into a podcast. Is this this is episode 51 or 52? I'm not sure. It's one of
Oh
those.
my
But
god.
wow, we're over 50. Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
So wild.
Over a year.
What were we talking about? 90s hair.
Yes.
Great. So, camp in the 90s. Also, would it be the 90s? Because I really thought that Luke would have been born in the 80s. If you're going based on the, like, release time of the books. Which, like, it doesn't actually matter, but I don't know, because Luke is a baby, and I think, because I know Percy would have been born in 1993 if you go with, like, when The Lightning Thief was released, him being 12. If you count backwards, 93 would be when he was born, which, like, Rick Riordan says doesn't count, and he's like, Percy doesn't age, and I'm like, no, but, so then Luke is, God, how many years older than them? 7? So Luke would have been born in 86.
Wow. He's older than Taylor Swift.
Oh my gosh, he is. So really he would have been looking at 80s hair at camp if Luke was a baby.
And that makes more sense.
That does make more sense. We've cracked it. Anyway, Chiron is there and he's talking to Hermes and a woman with a baby who is revealed to be May Castellan. Percy says that, like, this May looks nothing like the crazy old woman he met. Chiron says it's been a long time since a mortal has been allowed at camp. May says she's here to become the Oracle because the old one has been dead for 20 years. Hermes keeps trying to convince her not to do it because it's dangerous. Chiron agrees, saying that humanity seems to have lost the ability to host the Oracle. So they very clearly do not know about the curse. But May is very determined. She's like, this is my chance to do something good because I was born with this gift of sight for a reason. And this is when Percy kind of puts the pieces together and realizes what happened to her. And so, did you put the pieces together, like, earlier than this, or did you kind of need this dream?
No, I didn't realize she had tried to become the Oracle. So, like, was her gift of sight before, like, anything special? Or was it similar to, like, what Sally has, where she can see through the mist?
That's a great question. So I don't know if her gift of sight was just being able to see through the mist, or if she was having, like, visions and dreams and things.
Yeah.
Did it say?
Because Rachel's having visions, right?
Rachel is having visions. But we also don't know that Sally never had visions.
Yeah.
Really just says that she had the gift of sight, not anything else. So, who knows? Who knows? It's a bummer. Yeah, any other thoughts on May and this dream?
I think she's, like, crazier than I thought, honestly. Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go host this thing because I can't be with Hermes forever. Like, girl, I've been down bad, but not that down bad. Okay?
Real. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So you would not at all be interested in becoming the Oracle?
Listen, if Adam breaks up with me, I'll let you know, but I really don't think I would crash out that hard.
You know what? Fair. That's fair. I don't know. I feel like I'd be into it as a, like, oh, I could do this cool special thing. Yeah, okay.
It doesn't sound like the Oracle's having very much fun.
Well, maybe she was before she got cursed.
True.
I don't really know what the job entailed before.
Yeah, like, she seemed to have a really bad time when Hades cursed her. So I don't think I'd enjoy that part.
But I don't know. I just think it would be, like, fun and mysterious to be this, like, cool maiden who just, like, hangs out and occasionally gives you a prophecy. It'd be so cool. Anyway, then he says he wakes up so fast that he hits his head on a shield. And it's Annabeth's shield, to be specific. Yay, because it feels like we haven't seen her in forever. Because that's the thing. It's like, we didn't see her in chapter 13. And there's just so many things happening in these chapters that it, like, feels like it's taking way more time. And so I'm like, we haven't seen Annabeth in days, but, like, really, she was just stabbed in, like, the early hours of this morning. Like, it's been less than 24 hours since we've seen her.
The time passage in these chapters is insane, actually.
Yeah. Both of these take place in the same day, possibly getting into the early hours of the morning on the, like, next day, but, like...
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's horrifying. That's why I started lining it out. And, like, everything Let me go get my little silly little notebook. Because I didn't have to go into a new box on my silly little outline. We're still on the 16th, because I counted all of this as being the same day. So, like, August 16th starts on the Williamsburg Bridge, and we get everything that happens after that. Selena going to find Clarice, Percy revealing his mortal spot, the dream about Rachel, like, coming to New York, the Oracle Curse dream, then we get Prometheus, and then we get more dreams, and then we then get
Crazy.
everything that happens in the rest of this chapter. So, like, this is a day. We are learning a lot of information on August the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
This is also my most full box so far. The rest of them will have like 3 bullet points. This one's got like my writing had to get really tiny.
Mm-hmm.
So, love that for us. Anyway, Annabeth, she's here. Percy tells her she should be resting because, again, it was just this morning that she got stabbed. But she's like, I'm fine. The ambrosia fixed me right up, and we're going to need every person that we have, which is unfortunately true, because we've got an army heading south into Central Park. And Percy fills Annabeth in a bit on the dreams that he had, but he leaves out,
Mm-hmm.
all the May Castellan stuff because he's kind of horrified by it. And also, he leaves out Ethan saying that Luke is fighting Kronos, like, inside his body because he doesn't want to get Annabeth's hopes up. So we meet with Thalia and the head counselors at the Central Park Reservoir, and as I said, I am a frequenter of the Central Park Reservoir. I run there often, not weekly, but a couple times a month. And so there are some things about this scene that don't make sense to me, much like the Williamsburg Bridge. Because, number one, an army marching in, why would they go around the reservoir at all, other than for the plot and to give Percy a fight at a body of water?
It's not very good strategy.
Right, and the entire fight takes place, from what it seems like, on the jogging track, like, immediately surrounding the reservoir, which is, like, 10 feet across. But even, like, right beyond that, there's the bridle path, which is, like, almost a 2-lane dirt street, sort of. And there's also a bunch of cop cars always parked on the, like, south end of the bridle path. The south end is also, like, 15 feet below where the reservoir is, because, like, Central Park is so hilly. Like, the jogging track is all on the same level as the surface of the reservoir, but the bridle path, like, goes below at some places. So there's, like, big steep drop-offs at the end, at, like, the edges of the jogging track, which, fun fact for you. But my question is, why are you anywhere near the reservoir at all, when really you should be using, like, the main streets? Because there's a big 6-mile loop that goes from, like, the top of Central Park to the bottom of Central Park. Like, you should be using those roads, or even better, just go to the east side of Central Park and just march down 5th Avenue. It's a straight shot to the Empire State Building.
Come on.
Why are you in Central Park at all?
I love when you get Rick's ass like this.
It's just not good strategy. Because it feels like you would want to avoid the water at all costs. Like, your main op is this 15-year-old boy with water powers. Why are you going anywhere near the water? I'm confused. I have questions. Like, are we trying to make it seem like Kronos' army is not very smart, like, doesn't have good strategy? Because if that's your goal, it's working. But I don't know that that's the goal, is the thing. Anyway, this doesn't actually matter, because, if they didn't go around the reservoir, then we'd be deprived of this awesome fight scene, and I wouldn't want to do that to you.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. Okay, so, at the reservoir, we've got the whole squad. Grover's there with the nature spirits, including Linnaeus, the satyr from the council, who apparently has now decided to join the fight, because he's not going to let an outcast like Grover lead the satyrs without his help. We also have Percy, the Athena cabin, and the hunters. And the rest of camp splits up to cover the bridges and tunnels into Manhattan. And, not to bring back my stressing about numbers, but I'm gonna. If we're going for the same, like, bridges and tunnels as earlier, that means we have 8. And we had, like, 40 campers, minus Annabeth, Percy, the Athena cabin, and, like, the 2 that we know for sure died on the Williamsburg Bridge. At most, I guesstimate there are, like, 30 campers, going to all the bridges and tunnels. That's, like, 3 to 4 per location. So you've got, like, 3 kids now covering the entire Williamsburg Bridge, which is upsetting.
And these are not small places.
Right! That's the thing! That's the thing! Like, do you know how big the Brooklyn Bridge is? It's very big.
Like, there are levels. Like,
do you know how many lanes of traffic are in the Lincoln Tunnel? Like, and some of these children are, like, babies.
Babies.
They're like preteens, not even teens. Thinking about like Will Solace, who I don't think it's a spoiler to say that he becomes the Apollo cabin counselor after Michael dies. At this point, he's like 13.
Oh my god.
He's a baby. He's also like their medical doctor, so
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
things are bleak. Anyway, putting that out of my mind, otherwise I will continue to spiral. Kronos' army, for some reason, breaks through the trees at the northern end of the reservoir and then like splits along the jogging track. Why? Who can say? And the Athena cabin has set up traps that cause the track to go up in flames of Greek fire, which that kind of rocks. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
The hunters are shooting arrows. Grover is playing his pipes to kind of signal the nature spirits. And Thalia is frying monsters with her lightning. Fantastic. But, monsters just keep coming. Even worse, the Titan Hyperion is walking across the surface of the water towards them. Percy says he'll keep him busy and tells Annabeth to keep their forces together in the meantime. Percy also then decides to walk across the water towards Hyperion because guess what? He can do that too. When he gets close, Hyperion recognizes him as the sea god's brat who trapped Atlas under the sky again. And Percy always gotta hit him with the insults. It's like, it wasn't even that hard. You Titans are as bright as my gym socks. Which is terrible line.
Yeah, it's not even that good.
But it does get under Hyperion's skin because he's like, you want bright? And then he like lights himself on fire and gets really bright. And he starts fighting Percy. Percy can't really see, so he's like, I gotta extinguish this flame. So he uses a big ol' wave of water. And then Hyperion throws him across the reservoir, like to the ground. But since he's invulnerable, he gets up like mostly unscathed. Which again, I have to question. What are the limits of this invulnerability? Like,
Yeah.
he obviously like doesn't get scraped up. He can't be stabbed with things, but he also seems invincible to like internal injuries.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember, the river gods seemed sure that they could electrocute him.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm a little confused.
where's the line? And then also like, if he got thrown to the ground, if he landed on his back, like surely he lands on his like mortal spot a little bit, right?
Does that hurt him? Like how much damage can he take to that mortal spot? Like if he bruises it, is he fucked?
That's the other thing. It's like if you get a bruise, do you die? If you like poke it too hard, do you die?
Yeah.
Like what's how mortal is the mortal point? Do you have to like stab it?
Yeah. So many questions.
I need Rick to give me what would the name of like a book that has like the rules? like a rule book,
Yeah.
I guess.
What's a book that has rules?
Right, like a rule book
Yeah.
for this universe and like all the little
Yeah.
things. Like what are the rules of the Achilles curse? Like what are the limits?
Yeah. I need it. Please and thank you.
Because I'm curious. Regardless of what the rules are, I think the rules are just kind of whatever Rick decides suits his narrative. And you know what? Fair.
It's his book.
Because Percy does not die. He gets up and then starts fighting Hyperion once again. But Hyperion can't manage to land a blow. Percy keeps dousing his flames. And it isn't until Grover is like, Percy, how are you doing that Percy even realizes that he is standing in the middle of his own personal hurricane, which is incredible. No notes.
So cool.
Amazing.
So cool.
But I do have one question, and that is Percy says that he's like flattening the grass. And I'm just like, what grass? Where is this occurring? Because immediately beyond the reservoir, there's like I don't know, maybe I've just been around the reservoir too much in the winter and I'm like, there's no grass immediately around it. But I don't know. I'm just like, what grass are you talking about? What meadow are you talking about later? Like, I want to see how far like Google Street View will let me go around. Yeah, there's lots of like plants around the reservoir, but not really grass. So it's kind of like, where is this happening? How far away from the water are you? Because also, if he's like no longer that close to the reservoir, it is more impressive that he's created this hurricane.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is yet another thing. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. So Percy then kind of uses hurricane to push Hyperion over to Grover, and also his squad of satyrs, who then play a song on their pipes that starts to make roots appear around his feet. They eventually start to curl around his body as he yells about how their woodland magic is no match for him, until he is completely engulfed in bark. And I love this. Because not only do we have the hurricane as like an incredible show of Percy's powers, we also then have the tree as an incredible showcase of
Mhm.
Grover's powers and also this like leadership, which is amazing. Like,
Very cool.
I don't think we've ever seen Grover be this good with the pipes
Yeah.
or like lead a group of people like this. Like, he is really coming into his own here post Pan, and I love it. And you know what? He can be afraid of bunnies,
Yeah.
and he can turn a titan into a tree. He contains multitudes. And we love Grover.
Mhm. It's called balance.
Do you have any other thoughts on this incredible fight moment before we get into part 2 of the fight?
It was just really good. Like, I loved reading it. Like, because I was actually trying to hurry up and finish reading because I went into work late. I had an hour, and then I was like, I had a lot of stuff to get done before the end of the day, and I was like, I'm not gonna have time to like do it. So I was like, oh, like I have to finish reading, and then by the time I was like finishing the fight scene, I was like, oh my god, that was so good. Like, I just read through it like so quickly.
One of the best fight scenes, I think, in this book.
It's very,
Just
very good.
and as much as it impressed us, it also impresses
For
the
sure.
Titan army because they kind of start to retreat until all of a sudden we get Kronos' surprise. And at first it reminds Percy of the boar that was a gift from Pan in the Titan's Curse that they like rode on for a bit. But this one is a girl pig, and she's got wings that he says are like flamingo pink and match her body, which is incredible. Our titular flying pig. Annabeth says she's the Clazmonian sow, and she used to terrorize ancient Greek towns.
Iconic.
Oh, iconic, yeah. But she's kind of a mythology deep cut, it seems, because I could find almost nothing on her
Mm-hmm.
other than what's on the Riordan wiki. Because anytime you like look something up and like number one search result that pops up is like, this is it in Percy Jackson, it's like, oh, okay, this is something Rick made up or like a deep cut.
Yeah.
So search result number 1 is the Riordan wiki. Search result number 2 is about a completely different sow in Greek mythology, and this name is worse, the Crommyonian sow? There's a lot of M's in there. Crommyonian.
Jeez.
Crommyonian, I think. I don't know. That's what I'm going with. And this sow, I don't think had wings, but was defeated by Theseus. And then beyond that, you get sort of actual results on the Clazmonian sow. But most don't have a whole lot of information beyond like what's given here, and then others sort of put together the stories of the Clazmonian and also Crommyonian sow. So like some are like, oh yes, Theseus fought this winged pig, and then others are like, no, they're different. Even like the Riordan wiki says that they're different. They're like, don't mix up the Clazmonian sow and the Crommyonian sow. I'm like, why are there so many sows?
So many pigs. What are we doing?
So many pigs. Yeah, so that's that. And so Percy kind of tells Annabeth to keep the forces together. He's going to take care of the pig. So he takes a grappling hook from the Athena cabin, hooks it around the pig's wing, and takes a ride. He's just kind of dangling there until Blackjack flies up and tells him to hop on because he can probably catch him. But before that, though, Percy hooks his rope around like the Hermes statue at the top of Grand Central, kind of hoping that it will stop the pig from flying. But the pig is so big, she just kind of rips the statue off, and Percy falls towards the street, and then is in fact caught by Blackjack. And I do appreciate the way that he's like, it was not the most comfortable landing, and like, when I said ow, my voice was several octaves higher.
That was funny.
Thank you for that detail, Percy. And so Blackjack and Percy kind of fly after the pig, who is still carrying Hermes behind her, until Percy is kind of close enough to yell at the statue to activate Hermes, tell it to kill the pig.
So cool.
Percy also gets the brilliant idea to try to activate the stone lion statues at the public library, which I love. Love that these are also automatons. And so while he goes to like activate the statues, he tells Blackjack to distract the pig, and so Blackjack tells the pig it smells like ham and also kicks it in the face. Great. Blackjack has been attending the Percy Jackson School of Insults, because that's also not a great insult, but because it's coming from a horse, we'll allow it.
Blackjack can get away with it.
Blackjack can do whatever he wants forever. Love you, Blackjack. So kind of between our trifecta of statues, we've got, the 2 lions and Hermes, there's not a whole lot for Percy to do. And he says he almost feels bad for the pig, because it just dies so fast. he kind of hopes that it's going to meet the boar of its dreams down in Tartarus.
It's not her fault.
But once again, Percy, stop empathizing with the enemy, even if it's a giant flying pig.
She's just a girl.
She's just a massive, massive...
deadly flying pig. Listen, if it was a boy pig, I would not have this much empathy. I'm sorry. This is true.
But also, what are her intentions? Because is she just like a clumsy pig? Like, she doesn't mean to be destroying things?
Like, she's not trying to eat people.
Or is she like an evil pig?
Or anything.
Right, I'm like, she's not really attacking.
Yeah.
She's just kind of flying around and occasionally crashing into things.
She's like a giant wrecking ball. It's not her fault.
Can't believe we're defending the giant flying pig.
I can. I can believe it.
Yeah, no, it feels on brand.
Yeah.
So then Blackjack, also on brand, asks for a donut break, but unfortunately they do have to get back to the fight because it is still ongoing. And that's kind of chapter 14. Do you have any other things on 14?
I would just like to say, I predicted this last time that there was going to be an actual flying pig because Rick is so literal.
Very true.
So that's it. Great chapter. Absolutely love this. Like,
yes,
the Percy forming his own hurricane thing was so sweet. Like, that was so
good.
Cool. I would like to see more of that.
10 out of 10 Percy power.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all I have.
A lot of stuff in this one. Percy got 2 naps in this day. Thank God.
Yeah.
We got a lot of dream information. A lot of new tea on the Oracle. Also kind of wild how many kids' lives have been destroyed by this prophecy and the, like, subsequent Oracle drama. Like, you got Nico and Bianca back when the prophecy was given, and then you've got Luke with the curse that Hades put on the Oracle and, like, what it did to his mom, and now you've got, like, Percy, who is possibly the subject of this prophecy and, like, having to lead this child army. You've also got the kids in the child army.
Crazy.
Who are being forced to fight for their lives because of this this prophecy is just no one's friend.
It's messing everything up, you know?
Yeah. But it's, like, also self-fulfilling prophecy in a way because, like, the prophecy happened, and then that led to Hades cursing the Oracle, which led to Luke's mom becoming what she is, which then led to Luke making the choices, which then started the prophecy happening. It's all connected. Great. So, all that to say, do you have any predictions for the coming days?
I do. So, we have chapter 15. Chiron throws a party. I am hoping, praying, that Chiron finally shows up with all of his buddies to help. I don't know. The world's ending. Can we get some adults in the room, please?
Please.
Like, hello? Final stand at the Empire State Building? Like, please, do not make it these kids do it by themselves.
Can we get some adult supervision, please?
For the love of God. Yes. We're begging. I will call CPS this time if I
think
have
all
to.
the CPS people are asleep.
That got eliminated by the Department of Government Efficiency.
No!
And then, chapter 16, we get help from a thief. I feel like I should know who this is referring to, but again, memory of a goldfish. I'm like, who have they, like, called, like, a thief? And I'm like, there's nothing there. Like, I probably could have gone back through all of my paper notes and tried to figure it out. Alas, I took a nap before this podcast, so I didn't do that. But
Real.
But, yeah, I'm like, I don't know who that could be. I really want Clarice to show up, but I don't think they would call her a thief. But I would like to see her put aside the pettiness and help.
That'd be good.
Girly.
We would love that.
Girly pop, what are we doing?
So, yes, you're hoping for a Selena success. Because she did go off to try to, yes.
Yes. If anyone can do it, it's my girl.
Selena can do anything. Girls are powerful. And
True.
We can keep hoping. I will say chapter 16 is one of the chapters that, like, the title makes sense, but it doesn't indicate to me what happens in the chapter, if that makes sense. Like,
okay. It's a little ambiguous.
I'm like, yes, this makes sense, but also the title itself does not give it away for me, even, like, knowing, because I'll be like, what chapter does this thing happen in? And I'll be like, oh, we get help from a thief. Okay, that makes sense. But I can never remember the name of the chapter. Yes. trying to be spoiler free here. I am so excited for you to get to the
Oh
next
boy.
two, specifically one of the next two, but I'm not gonna tell you which one.
Okay.
All right. Any other non-chapter specific predictions that you have, or thoughts or wonderings or anything else?
I do think we're going to get a Luke Annabeth showdown, but I'm kind of nervous how it's gonna go. Like, I want her to I kind of want her to kill Luke. I have to be honest. Like, I think that'd be really hard for her, and I don't want her to go through that. But I kind of want it as like a final, like Luke's fighting back against Kronos, but I kind of feel like it's too late. Like, to kill Kronos, you're gonna have to kill Luke, or at least Luke's body. And I want Annabeth to do it.
That's dark. But also, I love it. I'm like, great, good.
Yes, that's what I got. I'm excited. This is a really good book.
I know, and it just from here to the end, it's just bangers nonstop. I gotta say. So, very, very excited to get into 15 and 16 next week. All right, catch you next time. Hi, you can find us on social media at @DemigodDebutPod. You can also find links to all of our socials in the episode description. And if you enjoy consuming this podcast, consider leaving us a rating or review wherever you're listening. See you next time for the next 2 chapters. Bye!